Mr. Swoope, welcome back.
Thank you.
The term Enterprise Florida, as I said at the beginning of the show, is an exciting term. It brings to mind a very positive effort of going out and finding people jobs and bringing companies and so forth to Florida. But it is not without its critics, the agency is not. Whereas in many states, it seems that people are very positive in their support for economic development enterprises. Why do you think in Florida there has been criticism and maybe a call for more transparency, whatever that means? And how do you find that as a challenge in your job?
Well, first of all, I think that for some time, Enterprise Florida may have lost its way in not being mission focused. And one of the things that I promised Governor Scott is, given this opportunity, that Enterprise Florida would go back to its true mission of being the private, not-for-profit organization that is focused on, laser focused on job creation and trade development. And so if you look at the results over the last 2 years, I think the numbers speak for themselves. If people really want to look at it, if that's their true meaning, do they want to understand what we do? I mean, you look at the number of projects are up 40%. The number of jobs is up 74%. In capital investment, where businesses vote with their pocketbook, is up 95% in 2 years. And I think that tells you there's been a dramatic turnaround in the focus of Enterprise Florida in doing exactly what its vision was 17 years ago, of being a private organization that could do a function by contract for the state and be laser focused, adjust to the market. So I think we've been able to do those things. I will say that in some of the other states, that the distractions aren't there. They can stay focused on the mission at hand. At times it does take resources. It takes people coming here and to explain, but we're transparent. All our board meetings are transparent. Executive committee meetings are transparent. We've worked real hard to make sure that the incentive process is on the DEO portal, that people can go see what was being done with their state money. I believe that's important. I believe that on the front end of the project, confidentiality is important, but once a company signs an agreement, says we're coming here and there's state resources used, then we owe that to the taxpayer, and we have the fiduciary responsibility to tell about that.
Well, I've read, in fact, that some other states really see the public-private partnership model of Florida as something they want to move toward.
Again, I think that public-private partnership, not only in Enterprise Florida, but look at Visit Florida, same thing. Space Florida, same type model. These are successful models that other states have looked at that said, look, we're tired of the bureaucratic process. They can't get around to making a decision. We want a model like Enterprise Florida so that our business development team can make decisions, move quickly, can adjust to market conditions quickly. North Carolina is the latest that's looking at it right now.
All right, let's talk some specifics. Let's talk about examples that you might think of jobs and or businesses that exist in Florida today that are here because of activities, campaigns by Enterprise Florida.
Well, certainly there's a long history of projects that are here. I mean,
some examples I think our viewers might relate to.
Embraer is a great example in Melbourne, manufacturing aircraft there, business jets. But since we've been here, we had the opportunity to compete for an engineering center. So they were met when Governor Scott was there in October of 2011. Embraer shared with him their vision for an engineering center, and they were looking at India, they're looking at doing it in Brazil, or would they expand Florida, another state. And we were able to win that project, competitive project, to put the engineering center in Melbourne. What I like about it is it ties in manufacturing now with the product design. So for the future of Embraer Space Coast, that's in a transition mode, as we all know, that you have an engineering center that will attract talent, keep talent there. Other examples, Northrop Grumman earlier this year announced that they're doing 5 centers of excellence in this country. Florida won 2 of those. One would be in St. Augustine, one would be in Melbourne. 400 jobs in St. Augustine, 1,000 jobs in Melbourne. for Northrop Grumman and two of their centers of excellence. And the other one that's most recent is Hertz Corporation, a Fortune 300 company that had a location in Tulsa, which was Dollar Thrifty, had their headquarters in New Jersey, and said, look, we just bought Dollar Thrifty. We're not going to keep two headquarters locations. Do we move to New Jersey, or do we move to Oklahoma, or do we look at a third state? And what many of these companies do, because they outsourced their real estate years ago, is they hire a third party to do the assessment, to look at the locations. We saw the project long before we even knew the name of the company. We started responding to they didn't even say then a Fortune 3, it was a Fortune 500 company that was thinking about a headquarters location. These are the things that we're interested in. So we worked with that consultant. The company was identified. The CEO, the governor were involved. The governor called, made sure that we stayed on that radar screen, and ultimately Southwest Florida was able to win that project. That's 700 headquarter jobs going to Southwest Florida. I like it for two reasons. One, it puts Southwest Florida on the map for headquarters. A location that's traditionally or typically not is thought of outside the state so much for headquarters, even though Chico's grew up there and there are plenty of them there, but it put them on the map for that. And secondly, what I really like about it, if you look at the payroll over 10 years, 70 million minimum payroll being pumped into that economy. That means the small business that owns a restaurant, that has a car dealership, that's building houses, mortgage, it has a big ripple effect in Southwest Florida, in an area that needs that.
You know, it occurs to me that bringing home, so to speak, one of these businesses is not something that happens really quickly, is it?
No, it's a long process.
It's a long process, and you're competing with other states or other institutions, and sometimes you don't win. I mean, you can't win all of them, but
unfortunately,
it does take a lot of work, and intelligence gathering probably is one part of it. You need to find out who's out there, right?
Well, you need to find out who's out there and have the team that can respond. So when our team really started looking hard at Enterprise Florida and how we got beefed up to get our A game, so to speak, we looked at the tools that we have, and we realized there were things that were missing, that we would often go to a battle for jobs. As one of my friends would say, we would be going to a sword fight with knives. And so you just had to figure out how to, to work around it. But you look at it from a sales standpoint, we're a state that didn't have a sites and building database. You think of that, it's just something simple. But most states, you can go look on their state website, and you can look at locations for certified sites for their type sector. You can look at buildings that are available, get some idea of what's on the market to do that. Florida didn't have that, and we're in the process of putting that together and hopefully have it up and running by year end. But we didn't have basic tools that a lot of other states had.
Let's talk about sectors that you're kind of targeting now, okay? I've got been on your website, and I've got some interesting information about out of all.
You got all the market profiles there.
I've got all the market profiles. Out of all the sectors you could be targeting, there are a list of them, like clean tech, like life sciences, infotechnology, aviation and aerospace, and so forth. But when we were talking earlier before the show, you were saying that there are three of them, sectors that you think really could bear fruit and that you're working on hard: aerospace, aviation, financial services, and manufacturing. Let's talk about those a little bit. Let's start with aerospace aviation. What really excites you about that?
Well, first of all, let me just say this: all those sectors are important,
right.
And every one of them we have a competitive advantage.
Right.
In aerospace aviation, you have to look at the market and what's happening in the market right now. A lot of commercial growth in aviation industry happening right now. It's been a pent-up demand where aircraft being built, engines are being built, new designs, composites beginning. So that is a sector that is seeing a lot of growth, and it's a sector that this state owns a competitive advantage. So not only just on traditional areas of the Space Coast, but if you look around the state from Miami-Dade all the way to Pensacola and to Jacksonville and all points in between, it's a sector that we can compete in. So, and we're aggressively going after it. If you look at what's happening in Mobile with Airbus going there, we know that is a market sector for us to be able to attract businesses to support that. A good example of that would be When we were at the Farnborough Air Show last year, United Technology owns Pratt & Whitney. Conversation between the United Technology CEO and the governor said there may be an opportunity in the Pratt & Whitney engine division for us to compete on an upcoming project. We were able to compete on it, and we won the project. And so for the first time in the history of Pratt & Whitney, there will be a commercial, not a military, a commercial jet engine made in Palm Beach County. And if you look at the life of that engine, that's a 20 or 30-year life of that engine that people in Palm Beach County will have jobs for that length of time. That engine will hang on an Airbus A319.
Got about a minute to go. Talk for just a minute about financial services.
Financial services is kind of a bread and butter of the state. We've always had a strong workforce in the financial services sector. That industry is coming back strong. We've been working with certainly a lot of our financial institutions growing back office operations here, as well as the support services that go with that. So we remain very competitive at that and doing a good job of competing with that. Well,
just looking ahead, next year or so, are you optimistic that the momentum can keep moving? We've got about 15 seconds or so. Are you optimistic that the move forward that you've made can keep going?
Absolutely. If Florida was a publicly traded stock, I'd be loading up on it.
Thank you, Mr. Swoope.
Thank you, Steve.